What is up? Welcome to the Existential Stoic podcast. Do you have goals you want to accomplish, but you just can't seem to get them done, or get sidetracked real easily? Maybe go down the rabbit hole of 10 different things and never get anything finished. Well, today you're in luck. We're going to talk about how to focus on your goals. I'm Danny, everybody. Randy, what's up, Randy?
Yo, Danny.
So, have you ever had trouble focusing on your goals?
Yeah. I would say that like most of my life I spent a lot of planning and goal and working on goals, but sometimes it's hard to stick to things, especially after you've been doing it for a while, or
Yeah.
sometimes I get up to too many things at once. So there's a whole bunch of reasons.
Yeah, I think they're also hard to stick to too when you really want them sometimes for some reason. Like that is even when it's hardest. And I don't know. I know in my own life too. I've had times where I focused on the wrong goals because I thought I should, and they turned out not to be good goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And for the hard things, sometimes it's easier to you don't want to like not get what you want. So it's
Yeah,
easier not
yeah,
even to try. Be like, I
yeah,
couldn't stick with the goals or whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
I see it.
It's easier just to blame the world, not yourself, right?
It's their
Mm.
fault.
It is their fault. It's always their fault. All right, so we each have a few tips. I'm going to start. My first one is develop positive routines, and this, I think, is counterintuitive in a way, but it's helpful. Like, just develop positive routines. They don't even have to be towards your goal. I think working on getting up at the same time every day, you know, eating, at certain times, like exercising, taking walks, journaling, meditating, things like this, like just incorporating that into your everyday, I think adds a level of self-control and a level of direction to your day that normally you don't have, and it helps you progress towards things that you want.
Yeah, that's a great one because when you have these positive habits, number one, you don't have to devote the mental energy to doing them. So it gives you all that extra mental energy for whatever
Yeah,
goals you're trying to focus on. But also it helps create that virtuous cycle. So like the more good stuff you do, generally the more good stuff you're going to be able to do. So it helps you
that's
get in
it.
that rhythm. hmm As opposed to the vicious cycle, because we all know that one. Yeah. So my first one for how to stay focused on goals is choose one. This A lot of people get distracted. I myself do this all the time where I'll start working on a goal, things are be going good, and then I'm like, oh, I should do something else. And then I do that, and then I'm doing another thing. And then I get super overwhelmed and I write down everything that I'm up to. I'm up to like 64 things at the same time. And I
Yeah.
realize it's not really sustainable. And I've heard it said by both Naval Ravikant and also Earl Nightingale in The Strangest Secret, how basically you do one thing, like whatever it is that's most important to you right now, that's your focus. Everything else, once you're done this one thing. But if you choose one and you nail that one thing, you can get that one thing done.
Yeah, and it's totally true. Like sometimes you just have to and it sucks sometimes, but you have to give preference to something if it's really important. And it might mean it might mean for the next year or two, you're not going to go out a lot and see friends or something. Or you might not have time to do things that you normally would want to do, but it's balancing those obligations and realizing that something is important to you. And if it's really important, you can get it done, you know?
Well, here's the bitch of it. You can't do everything.
No,
Like
you
that's
can't.
you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And that's the worst part because especially nowadays, we want to be up to date with all the best shows. We want to see the movies. We want to, stay up to date on whatever's going on social media, all this stuff. You can't do all of it. You have to everything you're gonna have to sacrifice a little bit. So if you really want this goal, you might have to sacrifice a little bit of
Dude,
social media
I
time.
was thinking about that the other day. It's funny. Like when we were younger, there was two TV shows. Like it felt like, now there's like a
Mm-hmm.
thousand. So it's like, yeah, you can't. You just can't. It's impossible. You
Dude,
have to
I
pick and
remember when
choose.
I was a kid, I watched TV one day, TGIF for 2 hours. There was four
Yeah,
shows that I would watch, and the last show in that thing I didn't really care for anyways. But like that was pretty much what I would watch on TV because the rest of it was
yeah. It was the only TV on. It was crazy.
you
Yeah,
got the blessing of boredom back before technology.
yeah, yeah. We don't get that much anymore. All right.
Mm-mm.
My second one is focus on progress, not ends. So usually when we think of goal, we want one goal, we want to accomplish it, we want to get it done as fast as possible. But I think whenever I think that way, I always run into the problem where I get depressed or I struggle because I don't think I'm completing it fast enough. But then when I look back on my own progress, I realize I'm getting a lot done. So I think sometimes it's just better to focus on like it's going to be a journey. It's going to take time. You're not going to know all the challenges you're going to face, the obstacles, what have you. So just focus on that progress, on getting things done, on making forward momentum. And that matters more than actually accomplishing specific ends, I think.
Yeah, that's an awesome one because the outcome is out of your control.
Yeah.
But what you can focus on is what you're doing, your actions, and you doing the stuff that you need to do. So actually focusing on that does help you stick to it because then you can just check that off, be like, I'm doing my job. I just need to wait for the universe to do its job.
Yeah. Let them
Hmm.
carry some of the weight.
I know,
Stupid
right?
universe.
Yeah, right. So my second one for how to stay focused on goals is write it down. Simple. It's it's honestly shocking. We talk about this all the time, but it's honestly
Yeah.
shocking the amount of stuff you can get done by doing nothing other than writing it down.
Yeah.
Like
It like
some of
happens.
the yeah, some of the biggest accomplishments I've had in my life are because I wrote it down on a list under goals. And literally, I
Yeah.
feel like I've done nothing other than just writing it down, but that's pretty much it. And then the rest takes care of itself.
Yeah, they say, I mean, every study that's done this has found like I think it's 40% more likely to do it if you write it down, which right there is like, I mean, your chances are almost like what doubled almost basically. And then on
Hmm.
top of that, you know, at least I find as soon as I write something down, it's like now it's in the world and my brain starts planning how to do it rather than just thinking about it. And I think there is that difference makes all the difference. Because now instead of just thinking about like, oh, I want that. Now it's like, okay, now it's out there. Now it's something I'm really going to do. How do I do it? And then you get
Hmm.
there before you know it. Like half the time I go back to these lists and I've accomplished everything that's on them. It's like amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you're a real go-getter, so like you can just basically write it down and you have a 40% chance of getting it. But if you really want to go above and beyond, you can actually like figure out everything that would be required to get it, like the whole roadmap to get it, step by step by step by step by step. And then you are way more likely to actually get it.
Well, then all you got to do is each little step. You program it down to
Hmm.
baby steps, and now
Hmm.
you don't have to struggle through the whole problem. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a good one.
Yeah.
Very good. My last one is align your goals with your values, or align your values with your goals. Either way you want to look at it. I think this is important because like we talked about it so many times where we thought we were doing the right thing. Everybody told us we were doing the right thing. We hated it, right? Or we ended up still being depressed. And like I think because our values weren't aligned with what we were doing. It wasn't something we really wanted. It wasn't something that made us like either feel good or like wasn't aligned with who we are. So you actually have to, I think, dig deep, figure out like who you are, what your values are, and your goals should align with that. It's going to be much easier to accomplish.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great one. I was actually having a conversation with someone this week about how some of the stuff in my life that I want to accomplish in the long term, in the short term right now, it sucks. I'm not enjoying it. And I'm like, is it, it's kind of like that battle, like, is the long term good worth the short term bad? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things where you have to kind of sit down and see, is this actually worth it? But it's one of those things that I know, yes, in the long term, this is what I want. So this is definitely worth it just sucking for a little bit.
Yeah. But you have to know that, right? Otherwise, you can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Bingo.
Yeah.
So my last one for how to stay focused on goals is make daily progress. So this comes back. I remember back when I first started working out, probably like 18 or something like that. It was like you should work out, 3 to 5 days a week. You definitely don't want to do it every day because you need to give your body time to rest. And so I would do that for like a week or two. I would work out 5 days a week, and then, you know, then I would want another rest day, and I'd be like, I don't really feel like working out today. It's okay. I can't work out every day. So eventually it would get to I just wouldn't be working out, period. And then I don't know when it flipped, but it was probably like this whole like grind type of thing where they're like no days off. But I was like, well, might as well try it. So I did. And it does make sense aside from, sometimes you actually need to enjoy stuff in life. But if you, I just look at it like, what's my ultimate dream day? Like, let's say I had all the money in the world, I didn't have to work. What would my dream day be? How can I make that be every day? How can I do a little bit of that every single day? And then just try and do that. Because if you keep making daily progress, I mean, we've talked about this before, how if you do something for 5 minutes a day, is better than doing it for 3 hours one time a week. So
Yeah.
you save a ton of time by just doing something for 5 minutes a day. So anything that you, I mean, technically, anything that you want to do, you can do it. Because, like, let's say, I mean, we both used to like mountain biking. And so we would go maybe 3 hours a week max.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, if you do that 5 minutes a day, you're going to get better than if you do the 3 hours one time a week. So it's the same type of thing where pretty much anything you want to get good at, you just do it 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, it's funny, and like the comparison to like physical activities, like working out, playing sports, stuff like that, is really apt, I think, because they take time to develop the skills, and the more you do it, the more the muscle memory is there, the more like your body just knows what to do. And I think like it's weird, but you just feel it. Like it's interesting. Like you feel comfortable on your bike, or you know what to do at this next moment and stuff. And I think the more you do it, the more you just are that type of person. So yeah, I think that's a great
Mm-hmm.
one. Got
Yeah,
to do it daily.
there was a really good book called The Compound Effect, and it talked about the same type of thing in working out, how like the longer you've been building muscle, the longer you'll be able to sustain it without working out. Whereas if you're just building muscle for a short time, you stop doing it and
Yeah.
it'll disappear. And also, I mean, a bunch of other really good compound effect principles in life. But uh, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, that's good. That's good. So there you have it. How to stay focused on your goals. Hopefully this helps. We'll be back later this week with a full-length episode. Please check us out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Like, share, subscribe. It helps us out a lot. But until next time, later, Andy.
Later, Danny.